morning and welcome to Tantrum Gold, your home of classic games and classic content. Firstly, I want to say, sadly, that Bob Spur was taken into hospital yesterday with COVID. And from all of us here on TGG, we want to wish him a speedy recovery. And we'll see you soon, Bob. And we'll have you on here if you want to see a Cameroon England game from the World Cup watching Gaza. Dave, Ben and David, do you want to add anything to that before we crack on?
David, do you want to go?
Yeah, look, best wishes to Bob. Hopefully he pulls through. I mean, he's a massive figure in the Spurs community. He really helps everyone out where he can. So hopefully he pulls through. Bob's a fighter anyway, so I have no doubt he will.
Ben?
It's deeply devastating. Everyone here in the Spurs community wishes him absolutely full strength to him. He's an absolute legend of a bloke. I've shared a few panels with him here and there. He's just a wonderful, wonderful bloke, and hopefully we see him at a Spurs game anytime soon. So to all of us, we take our hats off to you, and we hope to see you soon.
And
Yeah, I echo that. He's one of the larger-than-life characters in our Spurs community. So much love from so many people, and he helps so many people behind the scenes as well. It's also one of these characters I've known him long before he's known me, because I always had his show and a few others on in the background while I'm doing other things. So we're missing him being on air at the moment, aren't we? So come on, Bob, you can pull through this and come back and start telling us all to piss off again.
That will be a great thing. Right. Good morning. Right. Okay. We're gonna first topic this morning. I want to welcome a few people in the chat. We have Celery Agent in. Good morning, Celery. We've got Liam One in. Good morning. Cody Max in. Let me know how the beard's going, Cody. I want a daily update on your beard. And we've got Wayne Bonner in this morning. He says, "Morning, fellas. Morning, Mr. Harris. Hope you're all well. Big up to Bob Spur, speedy recovery, and the best wishes from all the Spurs YouTube community." We all echo that. Right. Good morning, Mr. Harris. How are you this morning?
Yeah, absolutely flying for him, lad. Like I always am, every single day, no matter what time I get out of bed, big smile on my face, ready for the day. Let's attack it, boys.
Yeah, that's it. And morning, Ben. How's the coffee shop this morning?
For some reason, very busy. So we're no longer one of those kept secrets anymore. People are flying around here. Hopefully some great chats and hopefully some great coffee. So,
yeah, well, we will do a show from your coffee shop one morning, and I expect the best coffee when I get there.
Yeah.
and my co-host beside me, the man who rocks a flat cap as good as the man below me. How are you this morning, Goover?
You're outnumbered this morning, Dermot.
I know I am. I've got my leather one on order. I ordered one yesterday. A leather one's coming. So
yeah, well, enough of your kinky little outfits. It's all going well here, though, mate. Just a bit of a low point hearing about Bob, isn't it? But we'll plough on, because that's the way he wants it anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Show must go on.
Yeah. The show must go on. Right, Tottenham. COVID. Match called off last night. Brighton being called off, and possibly Leicester. What are your thoughts on that? And what's your thoughts on that? I'll go with you first, David, and I'll go to Ben, and then go to you, Cooper.
Look, as devastating as it is having the football called off, your health is your wealth. So everyone's health has to come first at the end of the day. Fans, players, coaches, everything that makes this club great, their health comes first. Look, don't get me wrong, it's a bummer not being able to watch Tottenham last night, watch Tottenham at the weekend, potentially next Thursday. Dermot, my general feelings are, I'd say prepare maybe for probably a bit of a lockdown without football for a little while, I would say. I do reckon it's going to end up like that, especially if more clubs get more COVID outbreaks. I mean, the potential is that it'd be like before when football went into lockdown and there was sort of a period with no football. So, look, if every club can go back to doing their procedures and doing it in the right way, maybe we might be able to save this. But I'll be honest with you, lad, I'd just be preparing for maybe no games until at least January for Tottenham Hotspur, I would be saying. And that's just my feeling on it. Look, I could be completely wrong on this. But, you know, we all had a feeling the Leicester game be called off. It's looking like it's going that way, and it could go beyond that as well. So I don't want to alarm anyone, but I would say is just prepare, because maybe that does look like it could happen. It was sort of the case when it went into lockdown last time. Some teams were coming out with it, coming out with COVID outbreaks. Then teams, you know, games were being called off left, right, and centre. Some games were going ahead. And look, I'll be honest with you, it should be taken out of UEFA's hands, out of the FA's hands, because they're going to do what's good for their pockets. And that's it at the end of the day. Look, they're like any other business around the world, struggling right now, absolutely struggling. And I think the government should maybe step up and make a decision on this, to be honest with you, for the benefit of everybody, rather than leaving it to people who need the money, because they're just going to try and play the games where they can.
That's it. I mean, Ben, you live in England. I mean, is there any chance the government would step up and do something? Or is it like no chance?
I think with the current news of what's happening around with the UK government at the moment, they might have to start stepping on people in terms of they can't just see themselves being the only ones held accountable for it, because they fucking up themselves. So I think it would be a good thing to start limited non-essential businesses. Unfortunately, football is a non-essential business, so maybe we do need a month break from football just to get things with the new variant and just get it under control, because it seems like it's completely under control. Because unfortunately, the vast majority of people in this country don't give a shit anymore. If you go on the central line, which I do on a daily basis, barely a single person wears a mask anymore. And if we can't control the normal people, how can we control the party boys like a Dele Alli who don't even give a shit about anyone, let alone themselves and their own health? So maybe it's a really good thing to really start controlling this and making sure that the players are healthy and their families' health, because that's all. Because they're bringing it home to their families at the end of the day. So we've got to start controlling this.
Would the circuit breaker could be the good thing, say for 2 or 3 weeks, or would you knock out the whole Christmas program altogether?
If it was me, I think the sensible thing would just be wipe out the entire Christmas program. It gives plenty of time for people to prepare for staging the game back in, slowly phasing things back in after Christmas. Not this wild congestion of fixtures, traveling all over the place. It's madness. Things need to be under control. Otherwise, don't bother with any controls. Do it properly.
Yeah. Dave, I mean, would you follow the European route of having the winter break? Would you support that, or would you not want to lose what happened, which is quite unique for British football, that they play on St. Stephen's Day, they play New Year's Day, they play like 2 or 3 days? Would you follow the European rule and just have a winter break from the beginning of December to January?
In general, without this whole COVID nonsense going on.
Yeah.
No, I love the festive period. It's what sets football apart. English football apart from the rest of the world is you have this festive football. I mean, the fans absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. There's nothing better than watching games all the way over December, Stephen's Day, all the way to New Year. I mean, it just breaks up that time and it gets you through it. There is nothing better than the festive period, and I never, ever, ever want to lose it. That World Cup next year is already pissing me off because it's already going to take away from the festive period. And for me, that drives me absolutely nuts. I love Christmas. I love the way the football calendar is over the Christmas, and I never, ever wanted to change. Yes, football players may have to give up a Christmas dinner, but I mean, if I was paid $200,000 a week, I don't think that would be a problem until I'm about 34, 35. No. So for me, look, I just love Christmas. I love the festive period. I never, ever wanted to change, and I'll always campaign to keep it.
That actually the same question to the other two. Ben, would you like follow the European route, or would you keep the Christmas period that we've had for forever and ever?
I'm going to speak here as the two parties inside my brain. The Tottenham side of me agrees with David 1,000 million, 1 trillion%, because I frankly, I only care about England once every 4 years when they're playing in a major tournament before they fuck it up, as usual. But Tottenham is with me every single day of the week. So I want to see Tottenham every single day of the week. And when it comes to the tiny portion of my brain that supports England, it's the reason that England have never won a major trophy. Because when we get to the World Cup period, all the players, including Mr. Harry Kane, are absolutely shattered. They can barely walk, and let alone play 90 minutes of football every 3 days. It's why the teams like Spain, Germany, Italy all dominate this competition, because they all have a winter break. So speaking as an international perspective, from an England perspective, a winter break would be brilliant for the England team, but I don't give a fuck about England. So no, to keep the festive period, come on you Spurs, only Tottenham till I die.
Yeah. Your answer to this one, Kuva, ban all these international breaks in the season, would you?
Yeah, without doubt. It's ridiculous. You're trying to contain a pandemic, a virus that's spreading like wildfire, and if I were to engineer a way to spread it more effectively, it would be to get large groups of fans together from varying parts of the world to join up in one area for about 90 minutes, breathe in each other's germs, and then send them back home again to spread it out to everybody in their local area. I mean, it's like the worst thing you could do. We should be having we should have locked down the borders in this country the second we got wind of this breaking out again, so you can just scan people as they come in and be prepared for it. Instead, we just keep borders open. How many weeks was it? 11 weeks or something stupid? And then we're saying it's okay to go back and carry on. They'll start doing our normal lives again. It's not okay to do our normal lives again. This is still ongoing. And sport has to be responsible for as well. And we've got to keep teams apart from playing each other as much as possible. We can work around it with sort of playing behind closed doors and things like that again. That was sort of tolerable as fans. At least we had some sort of football. It would cut down an awful lot of the risk. But right now, I think we just have to have that complete lockdown, the firebreaker, the circuit breaker, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And just so we know where we stand at the end of the month, going into January, we've got a clear picture of where the biggest cases of contagion are, and we can put in place some sort of plan to contain it further, stop the spread. It's going to spread anyway. There's nothing we can do about that. It's basically the flu, so I mean it's unstoppable. But we can at least control it, and we've got to do everything we can for that purpose, because it is killing people. There's no way around that.
Dave, would you ban all these international breaks through the season?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, couldn't believe they're allowed to go away and happen in the first place. I mean, every normal people like us weren't allowed to travel, so how can you expect these guys to travel all over the world? You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. If the domestic schedules can go ahead, okay, because they live in the country. But when you start flying people left, right, and centre, you see what happened to Tottenham with people coming back with COVID and stuff like that. I mean, how do you not expect that to happen when you're sending people to Argentina, Korea, over to Ireland, or wherever it may be across the world? You're sending them absolutely everywhere. I mean, of course these things are going to happen. It's absolutely... It's dumb. Let's be honest with you. Some people up there, maybe in the authorities, are absolutely dumb. First of all, it already pissed me off with the fixtures being allowed to go ahead when regular people can't travel. Why are they allowed to travel when we're not? I absolutely hate that. It drives me mad. It should be one rule for everybody, not one rule for us and one rule for all the high and mighty people. Absolutely pisses me off. But second of all, it just doesn't make sense, does it? It's so stupid. I mean, it's beyond belief, to be honest with you.
I mean, these internationals should have been stopped to it was safe to travel. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Ben, very quickly, celery agent, what do you say to his question?
Well, I'll ban them just because every single time there's an international break, our best players get fucking injured playing for Argentina. So I'll stop it anyway. But when it comes to COVID, again, reflecting on what David said, absolutely right. Why can we not travel, but they can fly to Timbuktu every 2 minutes? It's absolutely shocking. It's a shocking state of affairs. It's just ridiculous. I can barely get out of my town. You know, they can fucking fly to Argentina. This person can go to Pyongyang. This person can go here. It's shocking. And it's stamp on it. They're
Ben,
keeping it going.
I'm going to have you some new Tottenham PA. Honestly, you're brilliant. You and David, the barrier. Go on there.
I think I've got a solution to it, though. We could have the Deadwood Championships.
Oh, yes.
All the teams send off their absolute rubbish players for, like, say, 2 months. They can see if they learn how to play football again while having a crappy tournament that nobody cares about. But you'll tune into just for a laugh, wouldn't you?
Salary agent. I hope that answers your question. And he actually put here as well. Where is it now? There we go. It says exit lad, spot on all of you. So there you go. We've got Rain Bonner here with another question. I want to start with you, Ben. Yeah, go on, Ben. Go on. Sorry.
The problem with a Deadwood tournament is that Tottenham would be the only team with a squad because we've got so much fucking Deadwood. We'd be the only team there.
We'd need special dispensation for squad size.
Right. UEFA and FIFA are more concerned with money than people's health and safety, especially when it comes to cash cow fans. Dave, I'll start with you. What would you say to Rain Bonner?
I mean, look, you're talking about organisations that are corrupt beyond belief. I mean, you're talking about organisations that, you know, they put these World Cups and stuff like that in certain countries, and then they have to go and build all these massive stadiums for it, all because they're getting a nice slice of pie. You know, then after they leave the country, a lot of them stadiums are left dormant because they put them in countries where the league is absolutely shocking. And look, you're talking about two of the most corrupt agencies that there is. Look, FIFA, I mean, they had their officers raided, UEFA the same. You know what I mean? And for me, I'll be honest with you, they could, look, let's be honest. If we're being honest with ourselves, they couldn't give a fuck about us fans. They really couldn't. It's all in it for themselves. How they can make money. It's absolutely. I'm sick of these agencies. I'm absolutely sick of them. I don't really talk about them because they piss me off.
Yeah. Ben.
It's true they're corrupt because if you take the flights to go to a European game, let's say Champions League final 4 years ago, whenever it was with Tottenham, a flight to Madrid is 35 quid on Ryanair. It's 35 quid. As soon as Tottenham play in the Champions League final, it's 500 quid. UEFA tell the flight companies that to raise their prices because they all get a piece of the pie. Yeah. It's not even like they're hiding their corruption. The corruption's in plain sight, and they just say, "What? We're corrupt. What are you going to do about it?" They're the most corrupt people alive. So there's nothing you can do about it. They control everything.
And sorry, just on the Champions League finals, when your team gets there, you can't even get tickets anywhere because most of the stadium's gone to fucking corporate. You know what I mean? Absolute load of bollocks who don't even have a dog in the race. It's absolute load of bollocks. You know, how many times do you get to see your team in a Champions League final and you're getting a minimal proportion? I mean, that should be half and half. Fuck all the sponsors. Let them watch it from home or their high hotel or their apartment in the skyscraper, wherever it is. They could not give a shit about the game. They don't care. No. They just want to be there just to meet and greet. It's absolutely joke. Book out a hotel conference room if you want to do meet and greets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Coover, would you get up again? Would you break down the UEFA and FIFA and start again? Would you just disband them completely and have one organisation or two organisations that's rebuilt from the ground up properly? I mean, how do you fix UEFA? I mean, they're both corrupt. How do you fix it?
Can you? I just don't see how. It's wealth and morality seem to have an inverse relationship. They always have done. The more people seem to get money, the more they want more money. it's as soon as you start dealing with these obscene sorts of amounts of figures we're seeing in recent years, the corruption is going to be widespread, and I just don't see any way of really coping with it. I mean, if you break them down and start again, then the new one is just going to strive to become what these are already. It's just a sad sign of the times, unfortunately. People in power want more power. People with money have that power, want more money, want more power. Just always the same. You can't. You struggle to think of anybody that's filthy rich, and then you think, oh yeah, that's a really top organization, or that's a really outstanding individual. They always make these token efforts to do some sort of big showpiece. Big showpiece thing to pretend that they're this higher moral ground a lot of the time, but it's there for all to see all the time. I mean, as David's saying, Champions League final, it should be 50-50 split between those clubs, all fans, not corporate. I mean, why pander to the needs of just a few who don't really care and ignore the masses again? We just see it all the time, all the way through society and all the way around the world. It's sad, but what can we do?
Nothing we can do. This is for you, lads. I want your reaction to this, especially Dave, because I know what you think of this player. I know he's your favourite player and you love him dearly. What would you say to that?
I mean, that's just fantasy land. I wonder, is Alexander still dreaming? To be honest with you, because that's never going to happen. It is never going to happen. Honestly, Harry Winks wouldn't even kick a bucket of shit, let alone do a bicycle kick. Let's be honest with ourselves here. I mean, and even if he did do a bicycle kick, it'd probably only go 5 yards sideways anyway. So never going to happen. I mean, the guy can't even get into the England team. Actually, the guy can't even get anywhere near the England team either. So no, definitely not going to happen. Bicycle kick and England team shouldn't be put in the same sentence along with Harry Winks. It really shouldn't.
Ben, what would you say to Alexander Hilton? Thank you for the comment, though. It's a funny one, but thank you. If you got a ride out, if you were trying to get a ride out of David, you got one.
The problem with Harry Winks is he's not the number one person to get out of the door, and that shows how shit our squad is. There are 5 players that need to go before him. That shows how bad our squad is. I've got more. Actually, no, it might even be 6 or 7 players that have to go before Harry Winks. But it shows how shit our squad is. So, Harry Wank needs to go, but there are a few players that need to go before him.
Cooper, what would you say to Alexander Hilton?
I'll just echo what's already been said. I mean, Ben particularly saying there's so many others that need to go before him anyway. He's got the right attitude. He just doesn't have the ability anymore. It doesn't look like he's going to regain any of that form we saw several years ago. So it's still better to keep him just because the attitude's right than it is to keep the likes of Dele Alli. So let's. It's not a case of deadwood for me. It's getting rid of those toxic little players with attitudes that you don't want your youngsters picking up on and thinking that's the way to do things. You want to have your winners. You want to have your Højbjerg's attitude rubbing off on the under-23s. Somebody will run themselves into the ground for the sake of the team. That's what we're after. They'll see that with Conte. They need to see it with the players as well. So Dele Alli, sling your hook.
Right, I've got a question here from Celery Agent to the panel here. Do you think this break in play will help or hinder a team, or is it just what Conte needs? Dave, I'll start with you with that.
Yeah, look, it has potential to completely derail our season, to be honest with you. If we're being honest, I mean, look, they're going into a lockdown style training regime, which means, yeah, it's great. Conte can maybe give them a bit of shape or whatever to look at on the iPad. They can do a bit of the bike or whatever else it may be at home. But there is absolutely nothing like having them on the training pitch, doing the shape, doing proper training, touching the ball, getting used to each other, doing patterns of play and stuff like that. And I mean, he's just not going to be able to do that. Then you look at it. how fit are our players going to come back? Does he have control over stopping them eating ketchup and mayonnaise when they're at home? No, he doesn't. You know, and I just have a feeling if it is the case that our next few games are called off, but the rest is, and then we come back and we continue on, it's just going to be another start season for us. I mean, we've already had it 2 or 3 times already this season, and you're now having it again with this. I just fear it's completely going to derail our season. I really do. I mean, it's just there's only so many times you can keep picking up momentum. Son was back scoring. Reguilon was playing well. Skip and Højbjerg were just getting used to each other in midfield, starting to click. Ben Davies, Dyer, what's it going to do for them? Just got back into the team, starting to play well. You know, it could completely derail our season. There is no benefit to Conte from this. No benefit to Conte whatsoever. The only player actually might benefit is maybe Harry Kane, because he was looking a bit jaded. He probably could have done with a little bit of a rest. But in terms of the squad and Conte, they'd absolutely be hating this. Look, if it was a case where we weren't able to play games, but we still could use the training ground and could still do everything Conte wanted to do, you'd say, oh, yeah, great. You know, I mean, this is only going to benefit us. But when you're going into home-style lockdown, they're going to have to come back out of that. They're going to have to go through another bit of a little mini pre-season again to try and get up to speed. You know, it completely derails all of the good work that the fitness staff has come in and done as well. So for me, I hate it. I hate it. I do not think it's a help whatsoever. I can only see this as a bad thing because, like I said, it's not like we're on the training pitch being able to do repetitions of movement, tactics, fitness, and everything else like that. You're back confined to your home. I mean, we all seen how slow football was to come back and get going after lockdown last time. You know, players not up to speed with things, and you could really tell who was doing their work at home, who wasn't. And for me, I just think it's an absolute disaster.
I mean, Dave, very quickly, I mean, you see the next 6 fixtures here. You can knock out Leicester and really Liverpool. Where do you realistically think that Tottenham will start playing again?
I'll be honest with you, just because it's Liverpool and the league love to do everything for Liverpool, give them penalties where they can. If there's no penalty there, they'll sit there for 10 minutes and try and find one. And I wouldn't be surprised to see us be made play that Liverpool game, the West Ham game being called off and stuff like that. I really wouldn't be surprised. They love Liverpool. They love Liverpool right now in the league. They do everything they can to always help them regardless. Realistically, look, you're probably looking at the Liverpool game. If that one doesn't go ahead, I'd say the West Ham one will be pulled, and you might be talking about Palace or Southampton or even Watford before you come back. I'll be very surprised to see us play this side of Christmas, I'll be honest with you. Look, I'm just going to say to everybody, count the Leicester game off. Between yesterday when the news broke and what the Premier League was saying about 10 days isolation compared to the Leicester game next week, I mean, I failed match, and even I can see that game probably won't go ahead. How is there not someone in the FA that's not even sitting there counting on their fingers going 1, 2, 3, 4, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and counting down the days to make 10 days, but somehow they still haven't pulled the Leicester game? I mean, even for the fans' sake, call it early. Don't wait to a day or two behind. Beforehand. Get people's hopes up that they might be able to go to a game and everything else. You will also have fans that will be traveling from around the world to go to this game. Call it early if it's not going ahead. I mean, we can all sit here, count from Thursday to Thursday in 7 days, but yet they want 10 days mandatory isolation. How the fuck do they expect us to get out there and play that game? Call it now.
That even knocks the Liverpool game out, because that's actually within the 10 days. But that's Sky, so Sky will probably have the power rights in that and say we'll pull your funding if you don't put the game on or something along that.
Oh, they'll make us play on the 23 star, man.
Huh?
They make you roll out the under 10s if they're all fit available against Liverpool.
But this has gone into the under 23s as well. So it's the first team coaches under 23. It's ridiculous. Ben, I mean, before we got this COVID outbreak, the last 2 games against Brentford and Norwich, we scored 5 goals and conceded none. Do you think, as David says, that this is a wrong time for us, where we're getting a bit of momentum, Conte was getting his ideas out? Do you think this has come at the worst possible time for us?
Yes, I do. Because, I mean, he started to get in some of those players' heads that weren't playing good enough. We could see that Harry Kane started to click. He still wasn't scoring goals, but he was working his arse off for the team, and you could see that his attitude was in the right place. And it was only a matter of time before he started scoring. And he needed a game against a shit Leicester team who he loves scoring against anyway, to score about 10 goals. So, yes, it has come at the worst time, but there's nothing we can really do about it. We can just speculate and we can speculate and speculate. But as long as the powers that be see sense, hopefully we can see it again.
And Coover, go on then, Coover. Let's all get round for a little story with Coover here. What would you do with the Premier League and the fixtures coming up? What would you, if you were in charge, what would you do?
Well, it's not much of a story, is it? I mean, I've pretty much already said it. I'd just cancel all the fixtures till the new year. You need that breathing space. There's too much can go wrong. It's not just our club that's getting outbreaks of COVID. It's ridiculous trying to force all these fixtures in such short time. You intermingling players from different areas of the country, and then going on to the next fixture with barely any time to get the testing done in between. It's ridiculous. The strain's ridiculous. All the international fixtures and the European games. It's a bad time to be playing them. Let's just get things in order. And
I must admit, I love this by Alexander Hilton. That's so funny.
Yeah. You're gonna come on in and join in.
Yeah, come in. Yeah, bring your coffee and join in. We'll just take Ben after. I don't know who that bloke was.
I was looking at this one. That Alexander Hilton comment. To be honest, Dele Alli isolates on the pitch anyway. He does. You could say the same with Ndombele. He likes to go and hide somewhere as well.
Ribsy's in the stream this morning. Good morning, Ribsy. Hope you're well. Morning, Mark Cousins as well. Morning, Mark. He says missed the 35 minutes because I didn't get notification when you're on. Yeah, we are going to sort that out today. I'm trying to work that out, but we will work that out today. And I would cancel fixtures until New Year, delay the pre-season. Yeah, I actually would agree with that.
And then the World Cup as well.
Yeah. I mean, and Ribsy says I'm well, better than half our first team anyway, Paul Buggers. I mean, I would love to know who brought it in, but it probably was Dele Alli and Galini off in their Paris rant, whatever they were doing.
Anyway, I was going to say, as for the Premier League, if I was them, I'd be prepared for a sort of 2-3 week break at minimum, because without that circuit breaker, they'll be looking at a hell of a lot longer disruption than they want. It's better. It's the lesser of two evils for them: short break or a really enforced major disruption and possibly season called off, or at least finishing off the season like we did the other year, and it started again very late in the year, and we sort of crammed it all in before the start of the next season. They're not going to want that. They're going to want as little disruption as possible. So they'll need to do something sensible, because otherwise it just makes it worse and makes it worse quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, lads, and ask your question with the World Cup next winter. We can't really extend the season at the end of this year if we have to. That means the players won't get a proper break. I mean, I'll start with you, David. What would you do to solve that problem? Would you cancel the World Cup completely and move it then to the summer where it should be? Or would you take it away from Qatar and give it to somebody else that can hold it in the summer and give the players sort of a proper pre-season break?
Let's be honest, it shouldn't be in Qatar anyway, to be honest with you. We all know what human rights issues are going on there right now, so they should never have got it in the first place. Look, for me, I would say I'd just turn around to Qatar. I'm moving it to the summer. You either want to host it or you don't. If there's problems, grand. Just bring it to one of the many, many countries across Europe that already have the facilities and the infrastructure to be able to host it as well. That's what I would do. It's the simple solution. I mean, having a World Cup. I mean, again, we were just talking about how corrupt FIFA are. I mean, who puts a World Cup, completely disarrays all the fixture schedules all across worldwide, just to put a World Cup in the winter? Now, they've done it because it's the coolest part of the year for them, rather than playing in searing or soaring heats in the summer like they tried to put it to us. But I mean, just don't put their players jeopardies like that anyway, and just put it in a country that's a bit cooler. I mean, you know what I mean? Don't try and tell us, oh, it's because it's too warm, so we're going to do a Winter World Cup. Because look, my fear is that, I'll be honest with you, if this works out, you could see a lot more of this in the future of some of these competitions being up in and around Christmas and stuff like that. And look, I mean, I just couldn't believe to put it in the summer in the first or in the winter to be in the first place, the whole of December. I mean, you're talking about a World Cup final 3-4 days before Christmas? Absolutely ridiculous.
And I think the first Premier League game back is actually since Stephen's Day. If I'm right, I don't know what, but I think I'm right thinking the first Premier League back is then.
And I'll be honest with you, you know, that woman that they sent to Sepp Blatter's room that night before they were able to get the host. I mean, she must have been good at what she does because you know what I mean, to get a man to change a World Cup from the summer to the winter. I mean, she must be something special, along with the big kachunga that went into his bank account too.
She must have been Dave. Cooper, what would you say to that?
Oh, I'll just agree with Dave. David, there's no point going any further than that. It's there. I mean,
I was more asking about the woman. I was more asking about the woman coming to his room. What would you say to that?
Send her over.
Any port in a storm. Yeah.
Ben, sorry, I'll ask you a simple question. Sepp Blatter, what do you think should happen to them? The European Court now, next year. Do you think they should be sent to prison for this, for what all the corruption they've done, to be made an example of? Trevor.
So, sorry, I'm miles away. Emerson, what are we doing? Emerson had it all before the Norwich game.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. I'm just saying about Platter and Platini. Should they be sent to prison for what they've done?
Well, if there's rock solid evidence against them, then, well, yeah. I mean, is it illegal or is it just immoral? That's the question. Is if it's illegal, then of course they should be going to prison. But I mean, people get away with this sort of stuff all the time. That's the trouble. Yeah. I mean, would I like to see them in prison? Yeah, hell yeah.
This is Ribsy's idea for it. Just line them up against the wall. I like that. That's a good one. It's not a bit harsh, Ribsy. Honestly, it's not. I agree with you.
I think perhaps set them down at a table in a locked room with Gareth Southgate talking to them for about 6 hours straight. That would sort them out.
Right. Let's get back to the COVID and Tottenham. Alexander Hilton said here Emerson was ill before the Norwich game, so he probably had it at the start. What would you say to that, Ben? I'll start with you, Ben.
Well, we don't know. I'm still blaming Dele Alli. Dele was definitely asymptomatic and gave it to someone. I've not seen anything from Emerson that he's really been partying. He seems to be. I don't follow Emerson at all on Instagram and Facebook, so I've not seen him going about and party like some of the other chaps. So it's very possible that one of the other lads got it and then gave it to him and not knowing. It's because we don't know the full story about him, because you can get asymptomatic and not realise you've got it until you get a positive test result. So I'm not going to blame Emerson, but still you can't blame the people around him. But I just want to blame Dele Alli for Dele Alli blaming's sake, because it's definitely his fault, bastard.
I take it you're not Dele Alli's biggest fan then, Ben.
No, he's a twat.
Dave, what would you say to? I mean, there was rumours that Emerson was ill. I mean, what would you have done? Would you? I mean, you can't really blame him, can you? It's not his fault.
It wasn't just Emerson either. Gill was missing. Gill wasn't even selected for the bench, so there was more than just him that had it at that time, I would say. Not just Emerson. There was a couple of others that didn't make the bench. I mean, I remember reading out the team sheet. I'm looking at the bench. I'm like, ooh, I wonder what's going on here. I was going through my head who's pissed off Conte, but turns out it wasn't anybody. You know what I mean? It was just the outbreak. But I wouldn't say it was just Emerson. There was a couple of players missing.
Yeah. I mean, Tuva, what? I mean, it's gone through the squad quickly. Do you think Tottenham should have been a bit quicker and shutting down the training ground than they were?
No, it didn't matter at that point. I don't think. The restrictions are 2 laps in the country in general. I mean, it's going to affect football the same it affects anywhere else in the country. So it's impossible to stop it, and if you're going to lock down at the first chance of anything happening, you've got to stay closed permanently anyway. So no, unavoidable, and it's going to happen with other clubs as well. So what can you do? It's a flu virus basically. There's just no stopping that.
I mean, there's Chelsea, there's Leicester now, there's probably Man United. I think I've heard somewhere along the line Man United have 1 or 2 players now. So I think you are right. Dave, with Spurs this season now, with us still being in full competitions and the Rennes match being postponed yesterday, where do you think realistically we can put that Rennes match back in? Would you be angry if Tottenham said, look, we're going to forfeit it because there's no way of us playing it if we do have to play the Christmas period? I mean, how would you feel on that?
Look, the Rennes game, it has to be played by the 31st of December, regardless. I'll be honest with you, my concern would be that Rennes will make it more or less impossible to try and get us to play it, to be honest with you, for us to play it. But look, where I stand on it, I'll be honest with you, I would be fuming if they threw in the towel. You talk about 1 game and you're out of the group, you don't have to deal with it until February. You know what I mean? It also gives you a chance in January to be able to bring in a couple of players to strengthen your squad so that you can start sending out a mixture. Some of the B players, some of the players that maybe are surplus to requirements out there, knowing that they're going to do a good job and get rid of some of the dossers. But for me, look, it's 1 game. It's 1 game and you're out of the group. Why would you throw it in now? Get the game, get it won, get the points, get out of the group, and then take it from there and see what happens. As far as I'm aware, no matter what now, I think we'll end up facing one of the dropouts from the Europa Conference League.
Yeah.
But look, for me, it's 1 game. I don't want to be throwing it in. Definitely not. Because it's 1 game between now and the 31st. We've already had a lot of games called off. We've already had Brighton, Burnley, and probably now Leicester. I get that they're going to be playing in the new year, and it will make our fixture list really congested. But, I mean, this is why we got into watching football. You want to see your team go and win trophies. You don't want to see your team take part. You want to see them win trophies. And for me, I'd be absolutely raging if they just bowed out of it. Like I said, it's 1 game. You have the transfer window in between, and then you can re-go again in February. Looking at it then, you know. So that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, I mean, Kuva, do you think UEFA and Rennes were trying to push Tottenham into them forfeiting the game?
Yeah, of course. I mean, nobody wants to have their fixture list tampered with. You make preparations for everything, so there would have been a set plan on what they're going to do and when they're going to do it, and it's just throwing a spanner in the works for them. So we'd be annoyed if it was us having to rearrange because of them. So I'll totally understand them being annoyed. UEFA, they're not going to care as long as the fixtures get played. As long as they've got ample TV coverage and they make their nice bit of money off it, then everything's good with them. So it's nothing to do with fan or player safety. It's all to do with the money, as we keep saying. They're always going to handle it as badly as long as it gives them the maximum sort of profits and exposure. And if they've got nobody laying down the law to them and saying what they can and can't do about it with the COVID in mind, then they will keep doing what they do, and it's just not good enough, is it?
No, it's not. Ben, same question. Do you think UEFA and Rennes were pushing Tottenham into a forfeit in the game?
I'm going to say something very conspiracy theory-like. I think UEFA want a big team to go out the competition to try and make their competition seem a bit more not valid. They want to make it like this is a prestigious trophy, and by kicking Tottenham out of the competition, it makes it look like it's a prestigious competition. That even the big teams can't compete in this competition. It's a hard competition. No, they're just trying to put us on the fucking knife block like they always do with their stupid VAR decisions, the stupid handball decision in the Champions League final, the stupid handball decision in the game against Manchester City against Danny Rose. It's always, whenever UEFA have to change something, it's always Tottenham's always on the chopping block. So I'm going to seem like a fucking idiot here, but it seems like UEFA have always had something against us for some reason. Whenever there's a major rule change in UEFA, it's always at Tottenham's expense, and I'm fed up of it. It's always Tottenham. When
Yeah,
it's
I was
always.
going to say, you remember that farce about the Intertoto Cup all those
Yeah,
in the 90s?
I remember that.
Yeah, being forced to play it, and we end up taking the piss ourselves by sending over Alan Pardew and Andy Booth and getting our record ever loss. I think we lost 9-0 to Colne, was it? Something like that.
Yeah. That was Jerry Francis was in charge, wasn't he? That's when he was manager.
I mean, it was just a Mickey Mouse game, so we treated it that way and got battered like Mickey Mouse.
That's going back. That's bringing back.
But yeah, Ben's right though. It does kind of feel like that at times, that we're the sort of we're the guinea pig for all of their rule changes. You know, is that a fair comment? Are we like that? Do other people think that way? I don't know. It does to me. Also, I agree with Ben. It does feel like it's us that seem to be the brunt of most of it.
Yeah.
And then you go take in things like Lasagna Gate as well. You would have thought under sensible ruling would have been clearly food poisoning across your first team. You'd get a postponement of the game, but no, because it's us, it doesn't matter so much. I would have thought if that had been Man United going for the title, that would have been called off, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Or they would have given them 2 weeks break, sent them on holidays, pampered them, give them massages, make sure they're ready. Of course.
Yeah, I'm still convinced Arsenal had something to do with that game not being postponed. I reckon the
chef was an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Even the thing, the old First Division thing, when we got relegated and Arsenal got our spot, it always seems to be Tottenham that always gets fucking brunt these stupid decisions.
Yeah, I think it was after the First World War.
Yeah,
that happened. I've got a question here from Chris. Good morning, Chris. Thank you for the question. I'll start with you, Dave. What would you say to Chris to that? And it's true what he says. We've got ourselves into this mess. If we had done it right and won our games, it wouldn't matter what happened with the Rennes game. We could have still forfeited it and still qualified. But we've got ourselves to blame. So what would you say to Chris?
No, look, he's absolutely spot on. I mean, look, some of our players have tried their damn bestest to get us out of this competition. They tried against Pacos in the first leg. You have Moura, you have the Rennes game in the first game where we kind of started off shy. You know what I mean? There's other games throughout the group stage there. It's become an absolute farce. We've become a laughing stock in the group because of it. I mean, you're talking about the mighty Tottenham Hotspur up against Moura. I mean, no one has ever heard of them. And I would struggle to even say the people that play Football Manager religiously probably struggle to heard of these guys too. It's absolutely joke. And look, this is the thing. This is true. And I was saying this yesterday. We shouldn't even be in this position about talking about, do we want to stay in it? Do we want to be out of it? We should already be qualified. Maximum points, about plus 20 goal difference. You know what I mean? And already true. We should have been qualified after 4 games. You win all 4 games. You get maximum points, you're out. It doesn't matter what happens in the last 2 games. You're still qualified. But, I mean, we just tried our very best to get ourselves kicked out of this competition. And how dare some of these players, if we're being totally honest, a lot of these players are the reason why we're here, why we're in it. So if they're the reason why we're in it, why can't I expect them to turn up and perform in it? Why do they all of a sudden think they're too good? You have Endon Fat-Ass, Dele Alli, Harry Winks, and players like that being rolled out, right? And they're standing there going, I'm an international footballer. What am I doing here? But what they've all failed to realize is they were international footballers. Every single one of them players I mentioned have all been and gone in international football. They're not getting called up anymore. But the problem is their brain is still there. They still think they're this player. And they roll up to these grounds thinking, honestly, this is like a university stadium. What the fuck am I doing here? Well, the reason why we're here, the reason why I have to sit here on a Thursday and watch this shit is because of you, because you couldn't put it in for a season last season or the season or all last season because you didn't like the manager, because he wouldn't sponge you down in a bubble bath. Fuck off. Get out there and perform. You're the reason why we're here, so fucking perform when we're here.
That's it.
Pisses me off, this.
I think we can wrap up there, can't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, thank you for watching.
All right.
I don't know how anyone can follow that. we're going to try.
Yeah, I'll
Cooper.
give it a go.
Go on.
I was just going to add to it. You can't really blame the managers, can you? Even Nuno, you can't blame because
I do.
you can't. Well, all right, yeah, you could have been. But it comes down to this point that it's ridiculous to be able to expect us to be able to field that first 11 in every single game this season. And the big problem, as we've seen, as we've all been saying for a long time, is those fringe players are not good enough. And that is not the manager's fault. That is the recruitment issue. That's your Daniel Levy budget signings. It's what's ultimately got us into this mess. It's caused managers to fall by the wayside, and it's causing problems for us in competitions with knock-on effects to all the other competitions as well. Because these losses to the likes of Moura, even with fringe players, that is still damaging to the team overall. That's a confidence thing. That's a prestige thing. That's other fans getting on our backs. Our first team players will hear this. They haven't even played in the game and they're taking flack for it. It's ridiculous. It all leads back to that man at the top again. We shouldn't be in this position but we are because of him. He left it. Bad decisions, and then we always go back to that lack of investment when Posh was here, and that for me is the start of the latest rot. It was when we should have been adding one or two quality players to push for the league title. We instead just let it slide, and we've slid ever since. Now Conte's got to rebuild it all from that bottom point we saw against Moura. So it's going to be hellish difficult to achieve that this season, but we're in the position. Let's not deny it. It's Levy's long-term plan that's got us here. So we're reaping what he sowed.
Yeah, I mean, for the recruitment, Hitchen's got to take a lot of responsibility for all of this. And I mean, what the hell is he still doing at the club? I mean, what's he doing? Does he sponge Levy down in his bubble bath or give him his Peter coladas?
He's a yes man, isn't he?
I have images in my head of Bubbles on top of Daniel Levy sitting there playing with his rubber duck while Hitchens behind him naked, sponging him down.
He gets the Kiwi boot polish out to shine his head.
and Joe Lewis there, reading him a nice story. I mean, seriously, I just want to get this comment up quickly. I mean, Chris, we'll do our best. I'll put Cooper on it now for you.
Also, I was just a second. I also had this mental image of Hitchens leaning over Levy and going, "How about a nice rubber ducky?" And Levy going, "Oh, who does he play for? Is he cheap?"
And then you've got celery agent saying Hitchens still trying to chat up the coffee lady at the Tottenham Stadium. And then they've got this one here from Alexander Hilton. And the FA Cup is the same sponsor as Arsenal. That's why they've been winning it. Yeah, right. Okay. Right. I don't know. Yeah.
love conspiracy theories.
I do. Alexander, that's very good. Yeah, Hitchin. That was it. That's where I wanted to go. I'll start with you, Ben, then I'll go to you, Dave, and then you, Cooper. I mean, what the hell is he still doing there? I mean, if you did that, if somebody worked for you and they did how bad Hitchin did, you would sack him. So why is it? Do you think he's got something on Levy, or do you think he's got something again on the club, or do you think if Levy sacks him, he's scared that everything's going to come out because he's going to blab everything?
To be honest, I think Paratici has only kept him on until he really gets his claws into the club. And once Paratici is finally in a full position of being the managing director of the football side of the club, I think Hitchin will be the first on the chopping block. Because I think with Paratici, he's only really going to want to hire Italians that want to play his style of football. It's why possibly it didn't work out with Nuno being the manager, because only an Italian understands how an Italian thinks. It's just the be-all and end-all. So I do think there will be an Italian revolution with at the club, and I think eventually we will start to see, hopefully, what Man City have done in their football club, where all the football teams play exactly the same way, and hopefully Paratici can say, "All right, ciao, boy, ci vediamo."
Dave, I mean, I got to let respond to. Cooper, you can respond for that one. I get Dave and Ben to respond to the other one. What would you say to Alexander Hilton?
Overpriced, maybe.
I was going to say Ben's coffee shop should run something like this 30-cent discount, you know, if you come in and say shine bald head or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Levy's going to haggle 15p, isn't he? So the figure's probably in jeopardy already. Levy would haggle the 15p on a sort of £50 million deal. Probably get it called off. Yeah, I like it. It sums him up, doesn't it? Discount and a freebie to go with anything.
I'm still giving that one, Chris, comment of the day. More than I have to. That's brilliant. That one's close. And then Mark Cousins here. What would you say to Dave? Sorry. We should be here now with 2 league titles and the Champions League. Common denominator. Levy the arse. What would you say?
Me?
Yeah, you. Yeah, Dave.
Yeah. No. Look, 100%. Look, to be honest with you, Hitchin didn't get exposed to Pochettino left. To be honest, look, some of us already knew some of the players he brought. He was bringing in at the time weren't good enough. Then he was charged with bringing in the right players to rebuild from Mourinho. Look, the common denominator is Daniel Levy. Of course, I've always said, look, on the macro scale, it's Daniel Levy, but on the micro scale, you have to go through the guys like Hitchin, who was brought in to do a job and have failed them. And for me, Hitchin has done that. Look, you can go through his signings; they're absolutely woeful. Look, it's not like Tottenham haven't spent money, because we have, but the issue is where we spent the money. No one done any homework on Ndombele. No one done any proper homework on the side, so it hasn't worked out. Jack Clark, overpaid for him, completely overpaid. Okay, Hitchin, he brought in Llorente. He done well enough to be a backup for Harry Kane. He done what he could, but I mean, how long has Hitchin had to solve this striker problem too? You know, you look at Luke. He's brought in Lucas Moura. You'd say fair enough, but then we're going to go through a list of players who brought in and have gone already. Gazzaniga, Serge Aurier, who else is there? And there's a couple more there that he's brought in already gone. He's also brought Doherty to the club, who's nowhere near the first team. Ndombele nowhere near the first team. Lo nowhere near the first team. Sanchez only after getting into it now 5 years after buying him. You know what I mean? So you look through the whole list of all the players that he's signed. Session as well, 20-odd million on that. Okay, you could say, you kind of hold back on that when you say that might work out. There's already so much he's got wrong. Now, if I was spending that sort of money, my first thing would be sacking this guy. It's like, well, where is this gone? We brought in a player for 60 million, and he's more interested sitting down doing menu samples for McDonald's than playing for Tottenham Hotspur. You know, it's an absolute piss take. You look at Lo Celso. He's more interested in going over there, licking Lionel Messi's hole. Oh, look at me, Leo. I'll play with you, Leo. And then come back to Tottenham, go missing to the next international break, and then fly out again to lick more ass. I'm sick of it. You know what I mean? I'm absolutely sick of it. The players that... Look, Hitchin is a massive part of the problem on why we're in this mess when it comes to, like, players and stuff like that, because he was the one that overseen it all, and he's completely mismanaged Tottenham's money, completely spent it in the wrong areas. Yeah, look, you know, you could say, well, this is all in hindsight, you're saying this. But, I mean, when Doherty first came, you look at him, yeah, he had a good season with Wolves, but why aren't you questioning? Why are Wolves letting him go so cheaply off the back of a good season? What's gone wrong? Something has gone wrong. We didn't do our homework. We way overspent on Davinson Sanchez. Way overspent on him. Way overspent on Lo Celso, where we could have spent the extra 10 million and brought in Bruno Fernandes. And the difference between them, there's not so much difference in quality, but the difference is Bruno Fernandes brings a winning mentality, a leader mentality. He'll do anything he can to win at all costs. No problem at all. You look at Lo Celso, he couldn't give a shit what he does. You know, and this is the thing. For me, Steve Hitchin is a massive part of why we're here. A lot of players he's either brought has been and gone or just haven't been good enough, and we're stuck here in a position where they're causing trouble and can't get rid of them.
I mean, Sean Butler here's put a comment in, and I'll start with you, David, on this. And he's given a list of players. So if I bring
Yeah.
up the comment,
Yeah, them list of players, they were the first time around. They were the first time around. Let's be honest. We're talking about, like, let's be honest, right? Dawson. I mean, what are we going back to? 2002.
Shall I bring up the players as you're talking them, Dave, so people can?
Yeah,
I'll bring up
Ericsson.
the players.
Okay, he's gone. Modric, been and gone. Hugo Lloris still here. Gareth Bale, been and gone. Walker, been and gone. Adebayor, absolute plank, should never come here. And son, you're talking about years ago, Sean. You're talking about years ago. Let's be honest, you're talking about the first wave. Let's talk about the second wave and the reason why we're in. Yeah, he got all them right with spending little money. But look at all the big money he did spend and got wrong. This is the problem. Sean, I love you, but you're living in the past. All them players you have brought up are all in the past. They're years ago.
None of these players are Steve Hitchin. Dawson, Damien Comolli, Ericsson, Phil Mitchell, Modric, Damien Comolli, Lloris, Mitchell, Bale, Damien Comolli, Walker, Damien Comolli, Adebayor, Mitchell, Son, Mitchell. None of these players are Steve Hitchin. None of them. So I understand they're all bargains, but none of them are Hitchin. None of them are Hitchin. They're all other people. So why are we giving Hitchin credit for other people's work? He wasn't. None of these were his signings, especially like the Modric is. That's definitely a Damien Comolli signing. We need to. This isn't an agenda against. None of these players are. We don't have an agenda. All we have is we want to see people in the right position buying players, and Hitchin hasn't signed a decent player yet.
This is the thing. We're not trying to cause agendas here. We're just telling the openly and honestly and the truthfully. You look at the players he's brought in. Sean, do me a favor. Go and look at the players he's brought in, and come back to me with how many players come back to me with how many players you think out of all the players he's brought in that have been good enough for Tottenham since he's brought them in. Look, let's not hide from the problem. He is a part of the problem. You look at the players; they haven't performed. They've either caused trouble, or they're not, or they're already gone out of the club, or they've been nowhere near the first team. Let's call a spade a spade. And look, I get what Sean's point is. Maybe saying it's not Daniel Levy's fault. Well, I mean it is, because if it was Daniel Levy's money, you could guarantee the homework into the players that he's gone and signed. Well, it would be done frugally. But because it's Tottenham's money, it's grand. I'll just offload this to Steve Hitchin. Not having it, because I know if it was that guy's money, you wouldn't see Endon fat ass at this club right now. You just wouldn't. You just would not see him there. And for me, look, I fully get what Sean is saying, but like I said, on a micro level, yes, you have to hold everybody accountable for what they're doing. Players that have come in and haven't hit the heights, Steve Hitchin, etc., etc. But on a macro level, who employs them? Who pays the wages? If you're not happy with them, get them gone. I mean, so at the end of the day, it'll always go back to him, no matter what. He's put himself in that position, and he's paid handsomely enough to do it. So, I mean, let him take it.
There's one big issue.
I was going to say, what's your response to Sean Butler's?
Yeah, one big issue I have with it all. You compare the sort of signings we make, these sort of so-called budget signings, compared to when the likes of Manchester United do it. Look at Daniel James. They brought him in. Speculative purchase. Yeah, had some potential. Not really hit it off at Man United. Where is he? He's gone to Leeds. He's playing. We buy somebody on a budget. Look at Gedson Fernandes, for example, or even on loan, or Jack Clark. They come into the team. They go nowhere. They're just sat doing nothing at our place because nobody wants them. Our choices are very poor. We buy players that would struggle to get into championship sides. Joe Rodon, I mean, lots of people think he deserves a chance and everything, but if we're honest, I mean, was he setting the place alight with when he was with Swansea? Not really. He just looked like a solid sort of journeyman type defender. I mean, nothing against the bloke, but I mean, this isn't who you should be looking at if you're striving to get into the top four. If you think you're rubbing shoulders with the big boys. I mean, we're buying very low quality players far too often, and that stretches back over any of the directors of football we've had. So you've always got to look at Levy. That's the common denominator. He wants to have a bargain, and we do end up with rubbish because of it. of course, we're going to get some diamonds from time to time, and we are still a big club, but that it's a long running thing. So what can you do? I'll just look at other clubs, and it feels like we generally have this habit of just buying substandard and a lot of it to fill out a squad rather than buying quality, and then perhaps adding the youth to it.
I just want to say one thing. There is no transfer that happens at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club without Daniel Levy's authorisation or gives it the okay. It could be Hitchin, it could be Paratici, it could be the director of football before Hitchin. Daniel Levy is the man that says yes or no. How many transfers has he fucked up over the years? How many players that have gone to other clubs to become world-class players that we haven't signed? We could have had Jack...
Grealish.
Grealish. Levy went back to Aston Villa. Oh, I get a couple of million off. Levy's responsible for everything, and I'm sorry, he's the cancer that's been in our club and in it since 1991. And if people seem to forget that, they came in with Sugar. They're one of the investors behind the Sugar takeover when Sugar saved our club. Enid were in there. They went to spend the next 10 years of putting their claws into every shareholder buying up the shares. 2001, they then got into the club. Levy then become chairman. That cancer's been there for 20 years. And when are we going to freaking wake up and freaking come to realise that Levy and Enid are the things that blame everything for our club? And I will not accept it. Levy needs to go. It needs to go now.
And I just
sorry, go on, David.
No, sorry, I just want to say to Sean quickly. Look, I do credit the good. A lot of people give out about the money he's paid to take the stuff out of the club shop for the NFL stuff into the club shop when the NFL is here. I think it's genius. I do give him credit. I give him credit where credit's due. But I'll also pull him apart where I think he needs to be pulled apart. No problem. One thing you learn about me, Sean, I am fair. I mean, there's some things you would say about Daniel Levy that I'll completely agree with you on. Like, I even disagree with Daigle on some things. You know what I mean when it comes to Daniel Levy. But at the end of the day, like I'd say to you, Sean, if we're going to praise him for everything, then you also have to criticize him when he gets wrong. You can wear the shoes on both feet here. You know what I mean? You can flip it just as equally. And that's what I'd say to you, Sean. Instead of praising him all the time, admit his faults.
I mean, the example I'll give is bringing it into my own world as sort of a coffee guy. If I was working at another coffee company and not working for myself and was sourcing all the coffee, if I buy 10 shit coffees in a row that don't sell, I would be sacked. So if Hitchin has bought 10 shit players in a row that have not gone into the team, he should be sacked. And that is Levy's point. I give Levy a lot of credit because my family's in the property world. So we're in and around the Daniel Levy circle because we know people that know him. And a lot of the things he's doing on the property side of things, buying listed properties in Tottenham to try and save the area of Tottenham and preserving the history, turning the bits of the club shop into history, the baker's shop, which looks lovely. It's all fantastic. All we're asking, if Levy's going to stay at the football club, put the football decisions in football people's hands. We would be absolutely happy with Enoch staying at the football club if he's putting football men in charge of football issues. And that's the problem. Football people are not in charge of football issues. Levy's in charge of football issues, and he's an accountant. He's one of the best accountants in the game, but he's not a football guy. Put football people in charge, and we will see the club improve, and then we'll get the NFL deals, we'll get the concerts, the Lady Gaga concerts, and the club will be all the better for it. People, it's what we're asking.
Yeah, but the debt's not on. Sorry, Clifford. The debt's not on. The debt's on the club. It's not on Hitchy and on Levy and Enoch. So they should take the debt. The debt's on the club, and that's for another subject for another time. I mean, quickly, what were you saying, Clifford? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was going to say Ben hit the nail on the head there. At the end of the day, though, it's the man at the top that has to take the flak because he is responsible for everything that happens below him. That's what he's being paid for. The buck does stop with him. So if all the signings are going wrong and it's because of the director of football, who hired the director of football? He's getting that part wrong. When you're consistently doing it over a long period of time, you've got to start asking questions about that man at the top. Is he making the right decisions? And I think that's where the fans are now. At one point, I would even say I would have. I was almost happy with Levy. I saw what was happening in the early stages. Plans for the brand new stadium. As much as I love the old White Hart Lane, I appreciated we got to move with the times and elevate our status again to where we should be. And I was looking at the fact we'd propelled ourselves from mid-table obscurity up into competing for European places and then into the Champions League. These were all good, positive points. If that had been continued, I don't think he would have had so much of a problem. But because we did get to that point and then it suddenly stagnated and it's just set at that little comfortable level that he wants it to be, where he can milk the cash cow, and we're not going to get any further. All that good work he's done has now became the hindrance for this club going further. And that's what's frustrating the fans. That's the heart of it. So every signing he makes that doesn't work out, it's like extra sort of focus on it. It's really he's being taken into account for every little thing he gets wrong now. It's magnifying just his role in everything. So you will get fan fury going towards Levy, despite what he's done in the past. He's become the problem instead of what could have been the saviour, as a lot of people would have seen it. But it's a shift in what's needed at the club, and he's the one stopping it.
And the thing is, there can be a perfect world as well where the football coincides with the business. There can't be that perfect world, but all you're seeing right now is business, and absolutely crap football. And look, all us fans want is, we have no problem with the business side of things. Like, we understand the model. I mean, in hindsight and in theory, I mean, it's an absolute fantastic model. Who doesn't want to be self-sustainable? But the football has to match it to appease the fans. At the end of the day, the fans couldn't give a crap about the business side. Daniel Levy and Enoch and all, they care about the business side. The fans care about what's on the football pitch. So put the players on the football pitch, keep the fans happy, and do your business. At the end of the day, it's a football club first, but just do both. I mean, keep the fans happy with the football club. You won't have them complaining about the business. You're happy with the business. The fans are happy with the football team. And just move in one unison altogether. Why does it have to be give and take? And why is it always they're taking and we're giving? We have to give up watching a good football team so that they can keep making this, and this. Well, why can't it be both? Why can't we watch a good football team and they can make money? I have no problem with that. I have no problem with it whatsoever. But what I have a problem with is people being charged the most expensive season ticket, most expensive price jersey around all of Europe, and being ripped off for the crap that we're watching. Eric Dyer, he's only breaking into the first team now properly. In how many years? We should already have defenders there in place. We shouldn't be relying on an Eric Dyer, a Ben Davies, or a Sanchez to come good. We should already have good defenders there. You shouldn't be begging Lascelles, Ndombele, or Dele Alli to get out on the pitch. They're not good enough, or they don't want to be here. Fuck them off, bring in the next guy that does. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be left short with striker options up front if you want to rotate, or like the worst case scenario, Harry Kane has stopped scoring. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be left sitting there, keep rolling him out to try and get him to get goals. Ideally, you'd love another option there. But the point being is there's a world where both can exist. I'll be happy for them to do the business as long as they're happy to make sure the football inside on the pitch is looked after. It's all we want at the end of the day. It's all we want.
We all love our club and we all want the best for our club. So, to me, well said, Dave. Absolutely well said. Right, we'll come to the end now of this morning coffee show.
Hang on, there is one quick thing I'd like to respond to, if that's all right.
Go on,
Sean's saying here, 2 years of stagnation and backward step.
It was 4.
I'd go even further back than that. You look at getting into the Champions League with Harry Redknapp. You look at some of the signings that were made there to reinforce that team. Ryan Nelson, Luis Sahar. I mean, if that's not stagnation, what is?
When he's looking for Cahill and Tevez.
Yeah, exactly. This is a long-term problem. Levy took us so far, and he is the source of that. He's put the ceiling on the club, and we fail to even live up to that ceiling at the moment. So it's been going backwards for a long way. You look at the drop in form from the likes of Dele Alli. That's more than 2 years ago where they started performing badly. I'd say 4 years ago. Goes for quite a few of the squad. When was that 500-day period when we weren't investing? How many years ago was that? It wasn't just during the Champions League final; it was before that. So we've been letting it slip for a long time now, and people look back at it being from the Champions League final, but no, it was much further than that.
Could you highlight the thing where it says zoom out in terms of? I think I did zoom out enough where Levy has bought for Tottenham the majority of the conservation area of the Tottenham High Road, which is utterly brilliant. It's utterly brilliant to keep Tottenham the way it was 100 years ago. That's what we fans, we want to see the history of our club. And certain things, why are we showing history of our club in crappy buildings that are now derelict and with no one living in them, instead of building a statue of the 61 double winning team? We want to see the history of our club. We want to be proud of the area of Tottenham, and we want to be proud of the things that have come before us. That's all we're asking for. I think I've zoomed out perfectly well with some of the business decisions that he's made. Some of them are utterly brilliant, and I will praise them for the ones that are utterly brilliant. But
I just want
it is Levy's fault. It is his fault that we stagnated, because, again, he employs the people that employ the people. That is Levy's fault.
It's mismanagement then, isn't it? It's mismanagement if he's brought in the wrong people, surely. I mean, how is that not his fault? At the end of the day, like everyone's trying to say, he's the one responsible for hiring them. He's the one responsible for firing them. Nobody else. He's put in charge to be able to run this football club. And so, I mean, who else do you want us to blame? You want me to blame the pigeon that shits on the pitch when he flies over it? Yeah, I don't know. Who do you want me to blame?
That's our mascot, David.
Yeah.
Big up, Chirpy.
You look back during the years, right? We've looked back at some matches on this channel during the years, and you see the passion and the commitment from players there, right? There's one match where we literally had the mascot of a cockerel running around the pitch, Graham Roberts with a coat, trying to catch up this cockerel. It's the most funniest thing you've seen in your life. But it was back in the 80s. Tottenham was a family club. Tottenham was a club that you could go to, you could be proud of. We're not proud of our club anymore.
I can't even get a kosher meal at the football club. My mum can't even eat a fucking dinner at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, the club that's supposed to represent the Jewish community of the United Kingdom. You can't even get a fucking kosher meal there. That is a disgrace from someone like Daniel Levy, who is also Jewish. There should be kosher meals. There are kosher meals at the Boston Red Sox Stadium. There aren't any Jewish people in Boston. It's a mostly Irish and Italian city. But why have they got kosher meals at Boston Red Sox? And at Tottenham fucking Hotspur, the team that calls itself the Yid Army, why is there no kosher meals? It's a disgrace.
Yeah, it is a disgrace. And this is a subject we will be actually doing on about the Jewish part of our club and why Tottenham are not doing more for that community and actually not doing more for the history of our club. And where does Levy? I mean, we put that to the door of Levy's completely. But listen, I want to round this up now. Dave, thank you for coming on. What have you got coming up and for the weekend? Now there's no football, and what about your channel? The link, I will put the link in the chat in a minute. But if everyone, please get over to the Irish Hotspur. As I said, this man is our mothership. We come from the Irish Hotspur. So Dave, plug your channel as much as you like.
Yeah, no. Look, in terms of what's coming up at the weekend, not 100% sure. After this, I have to go and fit brake pads into the Outlads car, and then when I get home, I'll sit down and have a look at things. But look, what is coming up is you see Sean Butler in here battling away, and I absolutely love it. But him and Daigle will be on the channel next Wednesday, coming from both sides, having a good debate about Daniel Levy and stuff like that. So that'll be absolutely fun. But yeah, look, make sure you do get over and check out the Irish Hotspur. I mean, we do previews, reviews, watch-alongs, debates, fan shows, you name it, we do it. And we'll also be bringing out more tactical analysis after games every Monday. Basically running through kind of like key areas of the game, tactics and stuff like that from the night before and stuff. So that should be absolutely brilliant. We at Tottenham TV have promised to be on at some stage over the next week or two as well. So that'll be good. But no, the Irish Hotspur is where you can find me, but not only me. I mean, if you love any of these other beautiful faces, you'll also find them over there regularly enough as well. So, make sure it's definitely worth a subscribe, I'd say. But most importantly, look, guys, You know, I love all three of these boys here. I mean, you have Ben, absolutely brilliant. I mean, his personality is infectious. Kuva would have you laughing all day long. You know what I mean? He's an absolute comedian. And well, Dermot, you know, he's an absolute gentleman. Absolute gentleman. Not that the others aren't, but they are. But, you know, Dermot, he is an absolute kind soul. So make sure everybody smashes the subscribe button here. Let's push these boys up to 500 before Christmas. People told me it was impossible when I was at that stage. It's bloody well not. Share the word of the channel and get it out there. And let's get these fuckers to 500 before Christmas. Up Tottenham Tantrum Gold.
Thank you, Dave. Very kind. Very kind. Ben, we'll put your stuff up now. Hang on. Where is it? Hang on, I will get it. See, the wheels fall off this show at the end. It's
just like Tottenham.
Yeah, just like Tottenham. There we go, Ben. Right, go on. Plug your coffee shop.
If you're here in the Woodford area and you want a really tasty cup of coffee that's made by someone that actually cares about coffee, that's one person is involved from start to finish about their coffee, you can visit us at the Coffee Company. All my details are on my Instagram page. It's the only place possibly in Europe where one guy is in charge of everything, which is and that really shines through that there's one person that cares about it, and there's one vision. There's no millions of people trying, let's do this, let's do that. It's one person's vision. So if you really want to learn about coffee and have a great chat, visit us. I'll find the best coffee for you. We've got some great stuff on at the moment. The Christmas coffee is unbelievable. It's a bit expensive, but it's really, really delicious. So I'd really just come and visit us and have a chat. That's all I really ask for.
Give them a discount if they name this channel. Give them a little discount if they name Tottenham Tantrum Gold.
I learned from the Levy Business Ethics School, so there's no discounts here.
Well, I mean, Ben knocks up an awful lot of air miles. He goes out to these places like Colombia and Costa Rica and plants a little seed in the ground, sings Spurs songs to the seedlings as it's growing, and then picks it when it's just right and brings it back straight away. Can't get any fresher than that. No. Can't get any more Spurs than that either.
No. But thank you, Ben, for coming on, and we'll see you Monday. You're back Monday with us Monday. Kluver, where can we find you, sir?
No, I'm just not bothering. There's no football now. I'm off for about a month, I think. Put our feet up. I don't know. Bit of Formula One, bit of cricket. Who cares? You know, it's all gone. No, here obviously, we'll be finding things to do, won't we, David? We'll find things on the Irish Shots brand here. Perhaps we'll be chucking on a few old games here. Well, we will. We'll be putting on some classics here for us all to talk over. Perhaps we'll get on a few Irish-themed games, some of the old Irish players, Tony Galvin, Chrissy Houghton. I'd hope for a bit of Robbie Keane as well, but maybe that may be a bit too recent for a classic channel like ours. But we'll get them on, get a few guests in, just keep us ticking over until the football's back. Otherwise, I'll be over. You can see me on Irish Hotspur sometimes. Well, always in the super chat, if nothing else, trying to derail things as often as possible. Then we are
which
Tottenham
you do
TV.
Very successfully.
Sometimes we are Tottenham TV. Been on a few times, a lot more recently. Paxton Road, the two Bryans up at Tottenham on tour, and Spurs Asian, and a few others that I'm always forgetting. Going to support Josh, the Tottenham guy, doing his charity fundraiser scheduled for New Year's Day, isn't it? The 24-hour stream we're going to do. I'll try and be on for as much of that as I possibly can. So please go over if you want to support Josh raising funds for Cosmic, the children's charity, and otherwise just dotting around the channels and doing the usual rounds.
Well, thank you for everyone. We're back on this evening at 5:30 with a golden game from the 1974 UEFA Cup final second leg, Feyenoord against Tottenham, where Tottenham literally did fight everywhere, from on the pitch, off the pitch, at the pub, in the car park, on the boat, and then when they got back to England, said it wasn't our fault. So there will be there. I think it was the start of the end for Bill Nick as well. But that tonight, we've got a few games over the weekend, and me and Phil, Tottenham Tantrum Gold, is doing Formula One this weekend. We're on from tomorrow start at 1:15 for qualifying, and then we're on that Sunday at 1:15 for the race. We don't know how it's going to go, what's going to happen, but with no football, we decided to do something different. Again, and lastly, from all of us here, our love and prayers go to Bob Spur. I hope you make a speedy recovery, and you've been a great support of me, Bob, and you've been very kind to this channel. So look, our prayers and thoughts and everything are with you, but we know you're going to make sure you're a fighter. So we know you'll be back on telling us all to piss off soon. But yeah, that's been this morning. Thank you very much for everyone for watching, and Levy out.